Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. 21 killed as fire breaks out at South Delhi's restaurant. Several injured. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta expressed grief. Venezuela's acting President Delcy Rodriguez to arrive in New Delhi on 5-day visit to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on entire gamut of bilateral ties. India accelerates renewable energy transition, emerges as second largest growth market in annual solar capacity additions, underlines its global leadership role in clean energy. Global oil prices climb after fresh strikes by US and Iran. World stocks remain mixed as some Asian markets rise, taking cues of tech developments. Alexander Zverev and Jakub Mensik book their spots in the French Open semifinals, with both stars hunting for a maiden Grand Slam title. Let's begin with the news coming in. A massive fire broke out at a restaurant in Delhi's Malviya Nagar area on Wednesday morning. As per the reports that we have, 21 killed in the incident. The incident occurred at the multi-storied Flourish Stay B&B in the Hauz Rani area of South Delhi, and according to officials, many of those killed were foreigners. In an initial statement, the Delhi Fire Service said 37 people were rescued from the basement of the restaurant by Delhi Fire Services personnel and shifted to the hospital through centralized accident and trauma services ambulances. The fire was later brought under control, though search and rescue operations continued in the building as authorities checked for any remaining occupants. Authorities are yet to ascertain the exact cause of the fire. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed condolences at the loss of lives in the fire incident. He said, and I quote, "The loss of lives due to a fire incident in Malviya Nagar, Delhi is tragic. My condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. Wishing a speedy recovery to the injured. Authorities are providing all possible assistance to those affected." Prime Minister also announced an ex gratia of rupees 2 lakh from Prime Minister's National Relief Fund would be given to the next of kin of each deceased. The injured would be given rupees 50,000. Lieutenant Governor of Delhi Taranjeet Singh Sandhu expressed grief over the loss of lives in the hotel fire incident at Hauz Rani in Malviya Nagar. He said, and I quote, "Deeply distressed by the tragic fire at a hotel in Hauz Rani, Malviya Nagar. My thoughts and condolences are with the families of the deceased, and I join all in praying for the swift recovery of those injured." The Lieutenant Governor said police, civil and fire rescue teams were conducting operations at the site. He added that officials had been directed to ensure immediate medical aid and relief, besides carrying out a thorough investigation into the incident. Soon after the tragedy, Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta expressed grief over the tragic loss of lives in the devastating fire incident in Malviya Nagar. She expressed heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and prayed for the speedy recovery of those injured and for strength and courage to all those affected by this heartbreaking tragedy. Immediately upon receiving information about the incident, teams of Delhi Fire Services, Delhi Police, DDMA, CATS ambulance services and other emergency response agencies were mobilized and launched rescue and relief operations. Their swift response helped in rescuing and evacuating several persons from the affected premises. Delhi government is closely monitoring the situation. All necessary medical assistance and support are being extended to the affected families. In this hour of grief, Delhi government stands firmly with the affected families, remain committed to providing every possible support to those impacted by this tragedy. All right, our correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us for more on phone line. Jessica, bring us up to speed. What is the situation on the ground right now and what are officials telling you?
Well, right now I am in fact where this incident took place in Hausrani in Malviya Nagar, and I had a moment to speak with the officials as to what is now the current situation. The building, as I see, is completely blacked out. It stands out as compared to the others where it looks like it's been pretty severely damaged, the Siddharth. And also at this point, the rescue operations have now come to a close, but there's still a lot of teams out there that would try to ascertain that with absolute necessity that that no one else is trapped. In the morning, they were able to rescue 3 personnel alive, but the rescue has, given the kind of nature of the fire and the accident, became even more difficult by the end of it. So at 8:30 around in the morning, they reported the fire, and around 8:45 is when it was reported to the Delhi Fire Services, and then the nearby station at Nehru Place had swung into action. From there onwards, there have been CATS ambulances as well, taking the injured to nearby hospital. So that has been the progress of the day of this very tragic incident that has taken place in Delhi. Second, one of them just coming 10 days after. What we saw was an LPG explosion in the area not so far away from here. So these repeated incidents have called into question the fire safety compliances of these restaurants and inns, and also about ensuring that such timely responses should be able to save lives at this point, because we don't know the cause as yet. No official details have been provided as to ascertaining the cause of the fire, and also about the number of people that lost their lives in this at this point. But their nationality is being said to have reported to be foreign nationals, but we're not sure. We've heard neither from the embassies, not from the authorities, as to who are these foreign nationals that have sort of been engulfed in this massive and very devastating sort of tragedy that has taken place in Krupp, the capital city, today.
Definitely, Jessica, very tragic incident indeed. Jessica, you just a while back you highlighted the rescue operation. Can you just give us more details, if you can, on the rescue operation? Is it still underway?
Well, as I just said, I spoke to the authorities who were there, and from the rescue efforts, in terms of a lot of us are not allowed to go near the site as yet. So it's very difficult to ascertain as to what the current progress is. We're waiting for the authorities to come and give us an update. But from our understanding, the rescue operations have been on since 9:45 a.m. and we're way into mid-afternoon. So as soon as the authorities tell us more about the kind of progress, they did inform us in the morning that 3 people were taken out alive. But those are the details that have been provided so far. And as per our on-ground analysis, I think there is a lot that the authorities are determining at this point, and sort of being careful in order to not cause massive hysteria in that sense. So these operations continue. We'll wait for a formal update on it soon. The authorities in front of me have put a rope around the area, so one can't physically go and verify as to what the rescue operations are at this point. Siddharth.
Definitely, Jessica. We are also confirming, waiting for the official confirmation. Any update, Jessica, on those hospitalized after being rescued?
Well, there are people being treated in hospitals. You've heard from the Chief Minister, Rekha Gupta. to the LG, who have said that they will continue to receive care and support. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make it to the hospital at this point because I am at Hosrani, trying to get a sense of what the current situation is on the ground. But the ones that have been rescued continue to be treated in hospital with utmost care. You had the CATS ambulances, which are specially designed for situations and devastating tragedies like this, which swung into action, were also present at the site. Right now, there are, with the presence of the police and the rescue operations currently, and the teams arriving there to also do forensic analysis to ascertain the cause. So there's a lot that will be, deliberated and disclosed in a short while from now, Siddharth. We should wait for that.
Definitely, Jessica. We'll keep taking updates from you on this, but as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much for your updates. And India remained engaged with the US on Section 301 proceedings and for finalization of a framework agreement. As per the report, the proposed tariffs are not yet final, and stakeholders can submit requests to participate in public hearings by 22nd of June 2026. Written comments can be submitted until 6th of July 2026. Public hearings will be held on 7th of July 2026. The USTR will consider the comments and testimony received before taking a final decision on the proposed measures. India remains engaged with the US on the matter as a part of Section 301 proceedings. India is also parallelly engaged with the US for finalization of a framework agreement, as was announced on 2nd of February 2026 and in accordance with the joint statement released on 7th of February 2026. And we are heading for a short break. Stay tuned.
Your Excellency, let's talk about your meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What would you say were the key takeaways?
ဒီနေ့တဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတော့အဓိကအများကြီးရှိပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်လာတဲ့ရည်ရွယ်ချက်ထဲမှာနိုင်ငံစီးပွားရေးပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်မှုနဲ့ကုန်သွယ်မှုမြင့်တင်ရေးကိစ္စတွေပါတာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ပြောပါတယ်ဒါတွေကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီဆွေးနွေးဖြစ်ပါတယ်နောက်တော့ကအိန္ဒိယနိုင်ငံနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလာအောင်ရင်းနှီးမြှုပ်နှံနိုင်တဲ့အခွင့်အလမ်းတွေပေါ့အိန္ဒိယနိုင်ငံရဲ့ဖွံ့ဖြိုးတိုးတက်မှုတွေဒီဟာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံကနေပြီးတော့မှတချို့ကျွန်တော်တို့ ਨੇ တင့်တော်တဲ့ဟာတွေကျွန်တော်ရယူနိုင်ဖို့အတွက်ဒါလည်းကျွန်တော်ဆွေးနွေးနိုင်တာပါတယ်။နောက်ပညာရေးကဏ္ဍ၊ကျန်းမာရေးကဏ္ဍနောက်တော့ကာကွယ်ရေးကဏ္ဍနောက်ရေချောင်းဒုကျော်ရေးဆိုင်ရာကိစ္စဒီနယ်နိမိတ်ဆိုင်ရာကိစ္စတွေနောက်တော့စိုက်ပျိုးရေးလုပ်ငန်းမွေးမြူလုပ်ငန်းစသဖြင့်ပေါ့အများကြီးခြေပြတ်ပါတယ်။ကဏ္ဍပေါင်းစုံကျွန်တော်တို့ဆွေးနွေးနိုင်ခဲ့ပဲနှစ်နာရီကျော်လောက်ကျွန်တော်တို့တူတူဆွေးနွေးပြီးလုပ်နေအောင်မြင်ခဲ့တဲ့ဆွေးနွေးပွဲရလဒ်တစ်ခုရရှိခဲ့တယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ပြောချင်တယ်
You're watching DD News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Lao PDR Thongsavan Phombihan is in New Delhi on his first visit to India. He will co-chair the 10th India-Lao PDR Joint Commission meeting with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. The visiting dignitary will also attend India-Lao Business Forum and call on the President, Draupadi Murmu. India and Lao PDR are celebrating 70 years of diplomatic ties. The visit will add momentum to the long-standing partnership between India and Lao PDR and further deepen cooperation across areas of mutual interest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met the chairman of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party of Nepal, Rabi Lamichane, on Wednesday. In a post on X, PM said he welcomed and fully shared his desire to work closely together for a shared and prosperous future. Nepal is a priority partner under our Neighbourhood First policy, and we look forward to collaborating with the new government to elevate the special and multifaceted relationship between our two countries to greater heights. Myanmar President Min Aung Hlaing is on his first foreign visit to India. In an exclusive conversation with DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh, he shares his experience of meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the challenge of insurgency in India's northeast and more.
With Prime Minister Narendra Modi, what would you say were the key takeaways?
ဆွေးနွေးတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတော့အဓိကဆိုအများကြီးရှိပါတယ်။ကျွန်တော်လာတဲ့ရည်ရွယ်ချက်ထဲမှာနိုင်ငံစီးပွားရေးပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်မှုနဲ့ကုန်သွယ်မှုမြင့်တင်ရေးကိစ္စတွေပါတာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ပြောပါတယ်။ဒါတွေကျွန်တော်တို့ဆွေးနွေးဖြစ်ပါတယ်။နောက်တော့ကအိန္ဒိယနိုင်ငံနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလာရင်းနှီးမြှုပ်နှံနိုင်တဲ့အခွင့်အလမ်းတွေပေါ့။အိန္ဒိယနိုင်ငံရဲ့ဖွံ့ဖြိုးတိုးတက်မှုတွေဒီဟာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးကျွန်တော်နိုင်ငံကနေပြီးတော့မှတချို့ကျွန်တော်တို့ ਨੇ တင့်တော်တဲ့ဟာတွေကျွန်တော်ရယူနိုင်ဖို့အတွက်ဒါလည်းကျွန်တော်ဆွေးနွေးနိုင်ကြပါတယ်။နောက်ပညာရေးကဏ္ဍ၊ကျန်းမာရေးကဏ္ဍနောက်တော့ကာကွယ်ရေးကဏ္ဍနောက်ရေချောင်းဒုံချိုရေးဆိုင်ရာကိစ္စတွေနယ်နိမိတ်ဆိုင်ရာကိစ္စတွေနောက်တော့စိုက်ပျိုးရေးလုပ်ငန်းမွေးမြူလုပ်ငန်းစသဖြင့်ပါအများကြီးကျေပြတ်ပါတယ်။ကဏ္ဍပေါင်းစုံကျွန်တော်တို့ဆွေးနွေးနိုင်ခဲ့ပဲနှစ်နာရီကျော်လောက်ကျွန်တော်တို့တူတူဆွေးနွေးမှုလုပ်နေအောင်မြင်ခဲ့တဲ့ဆွေးနွေးပွဲရလဒ်တစ်ခုရရှိခဲ့တယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ပြောချင်တယ်ဗျာ
And you can watch this exclusive conversation on DD India today at 6:30 p.m. IST and 1 p.m. GMT. Now, Venezuelan acting President Delcy Rodriguez will begin her working visit to India in a short while from now, during which she will hold bilateral discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The discussions would involve the full spectrum of India-Venezuela relations and explore avenues for further cooperation in areas of energy security, trade and investment, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, transportation and renewable energy. Besides, the Venezuelan delegation will visit several sites connected with energy, pharmaceuticals and auto sectors to gain insights into India's technological and industrial capabilities and to explore opportunities for collaboration. Indian PSUs have made significant investment in Venezuela in the energy sector and they are keen to explore opportunities for further enhancing their presence. India and Venezuela enjoy warm and friendly relations underpinned by cooperation in the energy sector, trade and shared commitment to the global south. As acting President Delcy Rodriguez of Venezuela will soon be arriving in India, the Ministry of External Affairs shared some of the highlights of warm and friendly India-Venezuela ties. Take a look. All right. And joining us on the broadcast today is Ambassador Manju Seth, former senior diplomat. Ma'am, a very warm welcome, first of all, to DD India News Hour. The acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, will be here in India in a short while from now. Ambassador, this will be her 6th visit here, but certainly we can call it a very special one, when we are talking about the ties between the two nations. Undoubtedly, energy forms backbone of this relationship, but there is much more. How significant is this visit, according to you, for both nations?
It's, again, given what is happening and how things have panned out, including the removal, so to speak, of the president of Venezuela, and how the global environment is now uncertain, and especially energy, in the area of energy, there is a lot of turmoil at the moment. And I think in that context, to ensure India's energy security, it is very significant, this visit, and it's a clear indication of the ties between the two countries, the strong ties, as you very rightly mentioned, a very strong relationship, a long-standing relationship. Yes, there have been ups and downs occasionally, but overall this relationship has been very strong and continues to strengthen. And I think with this visit, it's again, the acting president's visit, I think, is another pointer that, both sides attach being part of the global South and also being part of many multilateral fora. They work together in different multilateral organizations, and I believe that this visit will help to further, energize the relationship in all sectors, and the many sectors, as you mentioned, which are on the table to be discussed. Of course, energy is the primary one, and for Venezuela also it is important, and for us also. And we, of course, are amongst the largest consumers of, petroleum in the world, importers also. So we need to, safeguard our energy supplies. And with this visit, I think it will be further cemented. And already our companies have invested in Venezuela. But the fact remains that the whole disruption that has taken place in supply chains, the Iran war, I think this will be an important next step in the energy security ties, and of course in the digital area and other trade and every other aspect of the relation of renewable energy will also be discussed, and they're all important for both countries.
Definitely, you said that quite right, Ambassador. It's a very, very significant visit by the acting president. In my opinion, it also reflects good South-South cooperation. It sends out a great message to the global world. Do you agree to that, and to what extent?
Yes, absolutely. It is important at this time, as I said, whatever is happening, everything is the whole world is right now, not whole world, but the majority of the countries are in a state of uncertainty, and especially given the US's approach of trying to impose its writ everywhere. And I think they believe that it's in their best national interest to do so. And also because they would like to preserve their #1 position in the world. And I think they will take steps according to what, in their view, is best for the US's interest. And the fact that, we have, strengthened, we've spoken about being the voice of the global South. We saw that in the G20 meeting as well. But we've also always, it's not only something at the G20, but even before that, and that continues, where we've always had a very strong development partnership with countries of the global South, including with Venezuela. And I think so we have been working closely always with the global South, but this is another sort of, should I say, another step in strengthening the South-South cooperation and taking and ensuring that the interests of the global South, as far as possible, are safeguarded, and that happens only when all countries of the global South collaborate and discuss issues impacting them and impacting the global world and the global South.
Definitely, Ambassador. I'll just quote what you've just said. The West Asia crisis, it has seen oil supply disruptions and supply chain anxieties, of course, and a massive hit on the global economy. Because of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which is there. to some extent. The ships are not, passing through as they used to. And this is a time when India is diversifying its energy basket. How do you see this visit from that perspective? From the energy front, which I mentioned earlier as well, forms the bedrock of the relationship between both the nations.
Already we had started diversifying, and as the Venezuela, the sanctions were lifted on the Venezuelan oil exports by the US and its actions that have taken place in Venezuela, I think immediately after that we have continued our supplies again.
Right.
Our supplies, and we will further, look at importing whatever is required to meet our energy needs, because it'll bypass the Strait of Hormuz. The shipping lines, the shipping route will be not going through the Strait of Hormuz, and I believe that is an important aspect of the whole supply chain resilience that we are talking about. Because if the supplies are blocked, and as you said, it's the Strait of Hormuz has remained blocked and blockaded, and including by the US and the mining by Iran, and talking of tolls and things like that, and a lot of ships are still stranded there. And so for any meaningful normalcy to come back, it's going to take a long time. And for that, I think India cannot really afford that long delay because its energy needs are huge.
Yeah.
And unless these are met by diversifying, of course, and by ensuring that there's this smooth flow of the petroleum products, etc., from Venezuela to India, from whichever country we are going to buy, but particularly now in this case Venezuela, because that is very important for us. And investments, of course, our companies have invested in Venezuela as well, but we're also looking at further enhancing the two-way investments and two-way trade in many other products, including, I think, in the pharmaceutical sector, and trying to I think, build up on the renewable energy collaboration. And I believe that is the way forward, because we have to look at enhancing and ensuring our energy security.
Definitely. Ambassador, there's a lot of things that we can expect here, but can we also expect something like long-term crude oil contracts and stable pricing mechanisms, which is very crucial and perhaps the need of the hour?
Yes, it's very important, but I'm not sure. That will depend on the discussions that take place and what agreements and what is reached, what is mutually agreed. And of course, it would be in our best interest to have long-term contracts for this and at a stable price. But again, the supply sort of route and the chain, and also the fact that is a crucial aspect, but also because from what I can make out, or what has been happening, the US seems to be controlling the energy supplies or the energy production in Venezuela, in the sense that all payments will go to I was reading, is going to go to the US Treasury.
Okay.
And that, I think, might be a factor in when we discuss this stable pricing and long-term supplies. And the fact that the US had been earlier imposing sanctions, and twice or thrice we had to, at one time we were importing huge amounts of petroleum products from there. And we had to stop that. It was disrupted because the US imposed sanctions on Venezuelan companies and Venezuelan export. So I think we have to keep that in mind always. What factors, or what could probably or possibly lead to some kind of disruption. But yes, it would be in our best interest to have a long-term contract for our companies, which I think Reliance, I was reading, does have some a reasonably long-term contract that it has signed with the Venezuelan companies. But how long it continue to be able to enforce it, because now I believe the US also seems to be having a say in the exports and in the pricing and in all the energy, all the petroleum product resources in Venezuela. It appears to me like that. So we have to, that be a factor which we'll have to factor in our discussions. All right,
Ambassador, last but not the least, you mentioned routes and chains, which of course is very important things, in today's world that we are witnessing in front of us right now. In this particular scenario, Ambassador, how important are the transnational connectivity projects?
So they are also very important, but I don't know, they are being discussed, and I don't know when they'll be finalized. Those are very important because they will, any route that bypasses these critical choke points that are there,
Right.
one in the future could be the Malacca Straits. A possible one is, of course, they're also talking of the Suez again, and they're again talking of the Bab el-Mandab case also, choke point, and so on. So every country is trying to now see if they can weaponize these choke points. So I think that is the alternative multimodal routes that we've been talking about, the IMEC corridor, etc. I think those are all important and alternatives which we will continue to work on, and with all the partner countries. And I think it is important that they be implemented as quickly as possible, so that there are options available. Now, with this particular Strait of Hormuz blockade, there were very few options left for us. All our ships that were stuck there. Of course, Iran said we are allowing, and we didn't face a huge crisis, but it was a crisis nevertheless. And we find that the prices have gone up so much. The global crude prices have shot up, and that has impacted, the whole, the Indian economy, of course, the global economy, of course, and our supply sources
Right.
have impacted. And I think it has impacted our economy. But we can only, hope and work on ensuring that, we can avoid such kind of disruptions to the maximum possible.
Right. All right, Ambassador, thank you so much for joining in on DD India News. And we are heading for a short break. You stay tuned to DD India. Don't go anywhere. You're watching DD News. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Tensions have once again escalated in West Asia after Iran carried out a drone strike on a passenger terminal at Kuwait International Airport, wounding several people and forcing air traffic to be suspended. Kuwait state news agency said civil aviation authorities had suspended traffic and transferred arriving flights to alternative airports after Terminal 1 came under Iranian attacks, causing casualties and damage. Kuwait's Ministry of Defense spokesman Brigadier General Saud Abdulaziz Al-Otaibi described the attack as criminal Iranian aggression, which resulted in significant material damage to the building and injuries. Earlier, 2 Iranian missiles fired at Kuwait fell short or broke apart en route, and 3 missiles launched at Bahrain were immediately intercepted by US and Bahrain Air Defense Forces. The US military said that it had successfully defeated a series of fresh Iranian missile and drone attacks in the Gulf and conducted self-defense strikes on Iran's Qashm Island. It said its military shot down 3 attack drones that had been launched by Iran towards civilian mariners that were rightfully transiting regional waters. CENTCOM said the strikes had targeted an Iranian military ground control station on the island, adding that no US personnel were injured. Qasem Island is located in the strategic Strait of Hormuz, the key shipping channel for Gulf oil and gas that has been effectively closed by Tehran since the start of the war with the US and Israel in late February. US Central Command also denied claims by Iran's Revolutionary Guards that they had struck the headquarters of the US Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain and a separate air base in the region. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that President Donald Trump's negotiating team has not offered Iran sanctions relief in exchange for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. He was testifying in Congress publicly for the first time since the Iran war began.
Being sanctioned because they've highly enriched uranium. Iran is being sanctioned because of their nuclear activities. If they agree to give up those things, there will be sanctions relief associated with their commitment and compliance
you will not
with
give
those
sanctions
agreements.
relief just in exchange for reopening the strait.
No, that's not been discussed. That's not been offered.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai says that Tehran and Washington have reached understandings on many issues in exchanges over a deal to end the war, but warns an agreement is not imminent.
These developments that became public over the past few days are the result of several weeks of talks. Therefore, it is correct to say that we have reached a conclusion on a large portion of the issues under discussion. But to say that this means the signing of an agreement is imminent, no one can make such a claim for the very reasons you yourselves mentioned.
The International Atomic Energy Agency is offering the United Arab Emirates technical as well as moral support. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi on Tuesday visited the site of a nuclear power plant that came under a drone attack last month. He said Emirati authorities had reacted very quickly to the attack at the Baraka nuclear power plant by shutting down a reactor because of the loss of external power. Grossi said a number of activities would take place to complete repairs at the plant, but provided no further details.
Main reason for my visit here is the incident, the attack that took place on May 17th on the Baraka nuclear power plant, and as of course head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the international authority on nuclear safety, among other things. And given the fact that we have been working very, very closely with the United Arab Emirates on this project since its inception, I felt that it was my duty to be here to express our support, and not only moral support, but also technical. We are working with ENEC, with the operator, as it was mentioned just now, with the national regulator, FANR. So it is a very comprehensive work that we are undertaking with them.
International Energy Agency warned of critically low oil stockpiles before summer demand peak. International Energy Agency's head of the oil industry and markets division, Toril Bossoni, on Tuesday said the global oil inventories could hit critical levels ahead of the peak summer demand period if stock draws continue at their current pace. Bossoni made the remarks at the Middle East Oil and Gas Conference organized by S&P Global Energy in London. She said that reopening the Strait of Hormuz could take between 6 and 8 months at best if an agreement were reached within days. World oil supply dropped to 95.1 million barrels per day in April 2026, down 1.8 million barrels per day from the month prior. Further declines are expected for the remainder of the year. Israel and Hezbollah exchanged fire on Tuesday while Lebanese and Israeli envoys met in Washington for direct talks. Lebanon's state-run agency reported Israeli strikes on around 30 locations across the south on Tuesday. Hezbollah meanwhile said it had attacked Israeli troops in southern Lebanese territory but had not claimed attacks in Israel, while Israeli military said it intercepted 2 projectiles from Lebanon. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz subsequently said that Israel had established a new equation backed by Washington that his country would hit the Beirut suburbs if Hezbollah continued firing at Israel. The fighting took place with Israeli and Lebanese diplomats in Washington for a fourth round of direct talks since the start of the current war. On Monday, US President had declared that he brokered a deal which the Lebanese embassy in Washington said would at first only cover Israeli attacks on Beirut and Hezbollah attacks on Israeli territory before expanding in scope. Though neither side has publicly accepted Trump's deal. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam called the talks as the least costly choice for Lebanon. Reflecting India's growing leadership in clean energy and its commitment to sustainability, India's solar growth story is setting global benchmarks. In 2025, India surpassed the USA in annual solar capacity additions to become the world's second largest solar growth market. As the fastest growing major solar market, India is driving record capacity additions through strong policy support, innovation and world-class infrastructure. Union Minister for New and Renewable Energy Prahlad Joshi on X shared that under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India's clean energy transition is accelerating, strengthening energy security, advancing sustainable development and reinforcing India's position as a global leader in renewable energy. India's solar sector is moving at an unprecedented speed. From just 2 megawatt in 2002 to a massive 150 gigawatt by 2026, the growth under the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been monumental, a clear testament to rapid scaling and a greener future. And indeed, India's Tapas Bhattacharya joins us for more on this from New Delhi. Hi Tapas, a very good afternoon to you. This indeed, Tapas, is a big and a remarkable achievement for India and the nation's solar ambitions as well. Could you highlight some of them here?
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt, this is a huge point from India's perspective. In fact, first time India have made it to the second spot in the global position in annual solar capacity addition, beating United States. Earlier it did with Japan also. And you have to understand the fact that you mentioned the fact that in 2002 there was hardly much of solar energy acceleration. We had only 2 megawatt of solar energy output in 2002. From 2002 till 2014 to 2022, there was in the 96 months that I'm talking about, we increased our solar energy generation or added almost 50 gigawatt from 2.6 gigawatt that you mentioned. From 2022 to 2025, when actually Prime Minister Modi spoke about the fact that International Solar Alliance and net zero commitment that India gave to the world. At that time, from 2022 to 2025, these 36 months, we saw the output, the acceleration from 50 gigawatt to almost 100 gigawatt. And again, from Jan 2025, last year I'm talking about, till March 2026, only just 14 months, we have actually gone ahead from 100 gigawatt to 150 gigawatt. So that's a huge shift that we are seeing in India. And as I mentioned, that in 2025 we already gone ahead of Japan, and now we have gone ahead of United States. As per International Renewable Energy Agency, that's the IRENA, India generates huge numbers when it comes to solar energy. It's a huge opportunity for India. It's a huge respect and a proud moment for all of us that we have been able to achieve this massive milestone that we have.
All right, Tapas, we leave it there. Thank you so much. Over the past 12 years, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India's northeast has witnessed an unprecedented shift from a remote periphery into one of the nation's premier growth engines. The northeastern region of India, often referred to as the Ashtalakshmi of the country, is now emerging as one of the nation's new growth engines. Once struggling with geographical isolation and lack of connectivity, the region has now become India's gateway to Southeast Asia under the Act East policy. From a massive infrastructure boost and the rapid expansion of the Udan scheme to the rise of natural farming, how's the face of Northeast changing? Let's take a look in this special report.
This changing picture belongs to that northeastern part of India, which was once considered far removed from the mainland. But today, under visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Northeast is scripting a new chapter in India's development story. Ambitious schemes like PM Gati Shakti and PM Divine have given unprecedented momentum to infrastructure development in the region. In 2014, the total length of national highways in the region stood at just 10,905 kilometers. Today, it has increased to more than 16,207 kilometers. Whether it is Arunachal Pradesh's historic Sela Tunnel, providing all-weather connectivity, or Mizoram's Bairabi-Sairang railway line. For the first time, the capitals of the northeastern states are being directly connected to the national railway network. The speed of development is not limited to roads alone. It is equally visible in the skies. The Regional Air Connectivity Scheme, Udan, has completely transformed tourism and trade in the Northeast. Until 2014, the entire Northeast had only 9 operational airports. Today, that number has increased to 17. Sikkim's Pakyong Airport and Arunachal Pradesh Holongi Greenfield Airport are prime examples of this transformation. More than 90 air routes are now directly connecting remote areas with major cities across the country. Alongside infrastructure growth, Northeast India is also emerging as the country's green hub. After Sikkim's success in becoming a 100% organic state, Assam, Nagaland and Manipur are also adopting natural farming on a large scale under Mission Organic Value Chain Development for the northeastern region. Chemical-free products like ginger, turmeric and kiwi from the region are witnessing growing demand in international markets, significantly increasing the income of local farmers.
काफ़ी अच्छा काम किया है, मेनली सड़कों का उन्नति किया है जिसके कारण से आसाम का डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है।
गुवाहाटी भी बहुत डेवलप हो गया हम लोगों का, ब्रिज नए ब्रिज बन रहा है, अभी एयरपोर्ट हमारा नज़दीक है, पहले से बहुत बेहतर, बहुत ही अच्छा हुआ है।
The transformation of the Northeast does not stop here. Through digital connectivity, thousands of Gram Panchayats have now been connected with high-speed internet. Meanwhile, Tata Electronics semiconductor plant at Jagi Road in Assam, being developed at a cost of 27,000 crore rupees, is proof that Northeast is now becoming a major hub for advanced manufacturing as well.
मोदी सरकार के 12 वर्षों के दरमियान हुई विकास व तरक्की के कारण लोगों को खुद को दिल्ली से जोड़ने, राष्ट्र के अन्य राज्यों प्रांतों से जुड़ने के लिए एक मौका उपलब्ध हुई है।
Over the past 12 years, violence in the Northeast has seen significant decline. Between 2014 and 2024, incidents of violence reduced by nearly 70%, falling to 3,428 cases. Civilian deaths declined by 89%, while martyrdom of security personnel dropped by 70%. During these 12 years, the Modi government signed several major peace accords in the Northeast, leading to more than 10,500 militants surrendering arms and joining the mainstream. For decades, the Northeast remained affected by insurgency and internal conflicts. However, peace initiatives launched by the government since 2014 have drastically changed the situation. As a result, the process of withdrawing the Armed Forces Special Powers Act from several areas has also begun. The central government and northeastern state governments have signed historic peace agreements with several insurgent groups. A total of 12 peace accords have been signed with major militant organizations, and over 10,000 militants have laid down arms to join the mainstream. The Bodo, Karbi, Anglong and Bruriang agreements stand as strong examples of this success. Certainly, the changing face of the Northeast proves that with the right policies and strong determination, even geographical challenges can be transformed into opportunities for growth. This transformation of Ashtalakshmi reflects the capability and potential of a new India.
You're watching DD India News. Time now for some sports news. And Alexander Zverev continued his quest for a maiden Grand Slam title as he recovered from a shaky start to brush aside Spanish teenager Rafael Nadal and reached the French Open semi-finals. The German second seed rallied from a breakdown in the opening set to secure his place in the Final Four at Roland Garros for the fifth time in 6 years. With the injured Carlos Alcaraz absent and both world number one Jannik Sinner and 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic already eliminated, Zverev now holds a golden opportunity to finally claim a major trophy. Next up for the title favourite is Jakub Mensik, who battled past Brazilian breakout star João Fonseca to become the youngest Czech man to reach a Grand Slam semi-final, just days after collapsing on the Parisian red clay following a grueling hot second-round match. Mensik thrived under the cool post-rain evening skies to set up his high-stakes clash with Zverev. And Marta Kostyuk reached her maiden Grand Slam semi-final with a win over Elina Svitolina in an all-Ukrainian last 8 clash at the French Open. This was the first time in the Open era that two Ukrainians were playing each other in the quarter-final stage of a Grand Slam. An emotional Kostyuk dedicated her achievement to the all-Ukrainian fans in the stands who witnessed the historic clash. Kostyuk held her nerve in a thrilling 3-setter to become the first Ukrainian woman to reach the last 4 stage at Roland Garros. Kostyuk will now face Russia's Mira Andreeva in the semi-final on Thursday. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on Android and iOS platform, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.